विद्वानसि वेदम् विहितविहित्रचरित्रं नखेदम् आलयपायो यारे विद्वानसि वेदम् विहितविहित्रचरित्रम् अखिलम् केशवनीता मीन शरीरा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवनीता मीन शरीरा कृष्ण तव पृष्ठे धरणी धारण किन चक्रहरिष्ठे क्षितिरत्नानि तुलकरे कृष्ण तव पृष्ठे धरणी धारण किन चक्रहरिष्ठे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे Acharya Stottra Sadasri Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Brahma Padma Gaudiya Sampradacharya Guruvar ki Shri Shri Radha Vrindaban Chandra Gopal Nath Shri Raj Nitai Gaur Sundar Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Devi ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So on this auspicious occasion of the appearance of Lord Narashima Day, I was asked to select a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam and then go into the actual Leela. So we'll try to do it. Time is of the essence. Generally they serve prasadam at 9. Today is actually fasting till dusk. So those who can do it, great. If not, Ekadashi prasadam will be served at 9. And those who want to stay back, the Katha will continue till 9:30. And then there is the next program of offering flowers to Lord Narashima Day. So, again, we can all recite this verse together just to save some time. Everybody together. Yadi dasyasti me kama varam stvam Varadarshava Kamanam Rihi Asauruham Bhavastu Vrinevaram. One more time. Yadi Dasyasi Me Kaman Varam Stvam Varadarshava Kamanam Rihi Asauruham Bhavatastu Vrinevaram. Translation and forward by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki. Kindly repeat. Yadi. If. Dasyasi. Want to give. Me. Kaman. Anything desirable. Varan. As your benediction. Tvam. You. Varada Rishabha, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can give any benediction, Kamanam, of all desires for material happiness, Hriddhi, within the core of my heart, Asamroham, no growth, Bhavataha, from you, to, then, Vrine, I pray for Varam, such a benediction. Also, please repeat the translation. O my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there be no material desires. Purport by His Divine Grace. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us how to pray for benedictions from the Lord. He said, Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitava jagdisha kame mama janmani ishvare bhavatad bhaktir ahaitu kitvai. O my Lord, I do not want from you any amount of wealth, nor many followers, nor a beautiful wife, for these are all materialistic desires. But I have to ask you for any benediction. I pray that in whatever forms of life I may take birth, under any circumstances, I will not be bereft of your transcendental devotional service. Devotees are always on the positive platform, in contrast to the Mayavadis who want to make everything impersonal or void. One cannot remain void, Shunyavadi, rather one must possess something. Therefore, the devotee on the positive side wants to possess something, and this possession is very nicely described by Prahlad Maharaj, who says, if I must take some benediction from you, I pray that within the core of my heart there may be no material desires. The desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not at all material. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuran-militam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manoyavistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajeshu Tanes Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Gachid Upasana Rajavadu Vargena Taya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavad Purana Prema Kumar Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Mataidam Nayatra Agraha Paraha Navaniradanindita Kanti Dharam Rasasagar Nagar Dhupavaram Shubhavangi Macharu Shikhanda Shikhim Vaja Krishna Nidhim Vrajaraja Sutam Vaja Krishna Nidhim Vrajaraja Sutam Radhika Saroda Indu Nindimukha Mandali Vandiye Shripada Padma Vrishamanu Nandini Vandiye Shripada Padma Vrishamanu Nandini Ajanulambita Bhujau Kanikaya Vadhato Sankirtanai Pitaravo Kamalaya Takshu Vishwambharo Dijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagata Priyakaro Karuna Avataro Ugram Viram Mahavishnu Jalantam Sarvato Mukham Narashimam Vishnavadram Mrityur Mrityum Namami Anam Vavishya Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Lakshmakshade Yasyastre Hridaya Samvit Tam Narsingham Aham Bhaje Tam Narsingham Aham Bhaje Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasado Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutorupi Dayastvam Yashastri Sandhya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Prahlad Nrsimhadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. So in this particular verse, this is a wonderful prayer. The best thing that we can all imbibe in our hearts and in our how to pray is to learn from our acharyas. And Prahlad Maharaj is our foremost acharya who taught pure devotional service. The Dharmasvatatta Nihitam Guhyam Mahajana Jaina Tatasapanta. The secrets, or it's very confidential, the essence of Dharma. But we can simply follow in the footsteps of the Mahajanas. Prahlad Maharaj being one of the 12 Mahajanas, and learn from them how to even pray. Most of us, even Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita that there are 4 kinds of people who come to me: Arti, Artharti, Jnani and Jigyasu. Somebody who is distressed due to material reasons. Arthati, those who want some wealth. Jnani, knowledge. Excuse me. And Jigyasu, the inquisitive. That's the class. Most of the people, the mass population, that's why they come. But devotees like Prahlad Maharaj have this wonderful prayer. He says, Yadi Dasyasi. If you want to give this servant something, Me Kaman, it's my desire, O my Lord, Avaram Stam Varad Vrishabha. What a beautiful words. Varad Vrishabha. You are giving me benedictions. Oh, the best amongst the Supreme Personality of God. Varad Vrishabha. So, what is it that I want from you? Because when Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, And after Prahlad Maharaj pleased him, he asked him, I'm very pleased with you, ask me for any benediction. So Vaishnavas don't ask for anything material. And when Lord Narashima insisted, he said, okay, please deliver my father. Give him, he has been very offensive, a big sinner. So that's already done. 21 generations in the past and 21 yet to come. So this is a beautiful thing that the Lord has guaranteed. You're looking for so many guarantees, when you buy a car or an appliance, and what such an ironclad guarantee that the Lord gives us, that if we simply, sometimes there's devotees who say that, in my family they're not interested in Krishna consciousness. Or my friends, I try to preach to them, but they're not interested. That's okay, you tried your best. But if we all become pure devotees, then it's the unconditional guarantee that the Lord gives us that everybody that who we care for 21 generations, they will all be liberated. So he's saying that, please, if you want to give me something, Kamaram, all desires for material happiness, Riddhi asamroha. Asamroha means they should never grow within my heart. They should never emanate in my heart, material desires. Bhavatastu vrine, I pray to you. If you want to give me this, oh my Lord. And Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains this verse, starting with Chaitanya Sastastakam, verse number 4. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavita va jagadish ramane mama janmani ishware bhavatat bhaktir ahituki. So, to be successful in even chanting the holy names, like Mahaprabhu has said, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, the last few words of the first verse of Chaitanya Sastastakam. And then in the second verse, he is explaining that all my internal potencies are in the holy names. But I am so unfortunate, taking a very humble stance, na ihajani anuragaha. I have no attraction to the holy name. And then the answer is why I have no attraction, and this is for us. Because we are not we are not humbler than a blade of grass, not tolerant like a tree. We are always expecting respect, and we do not give respect unto others. So that is the reason we are not attracted to the holy name. And further, somebody must in a subtle way ask, then how do you do that? So he says, just what Prahlad Maharaj is saying, na dhanam na janam na sundarim. I do not want any wealth, I do not want a beautiful wife or attracted to the opposite sex, and I do not want flowery praises. In this world today, so many people, they just simply butter up people, and then we get puffed up, simply. So he says, I don't even want that, and I don't want any followers. So this is the criteria that is set by Mahaprabhu, that yes, if we can do that, then we will be successful in chanting the holy names purely. But even further, if we're not on our own accord able to, then he says, Ai nanda druja kim karo patitamam vishune bhavam buddho kripaya tava pada banga krishna paduri sadrisham vichintaya. Ai nanda, it's a cry. Like Srila Prabhupada says that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is exactly like a child cry. So that Ai means with a lot of a crying heart. O son of Nanda Maharaj, please place me at your lotus feet as a speck of dust, because I'm not able to accomplish this. So only you will be able to help me. So there's a history behind the appearance of Lord Narashima, and in this Naradji explains this, narrates this to Yudhishthira Maharaj about the appearance of Lord Narashima. And he explains in the previous chapters, and even in the previous, that that Kashyap Muni had two wives, Diti and Aditi. And Diti forcefully asked her husband to have physical union at the time of twilight. Nrsimha Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Nitai Gaur Sundar ki jai, Radha Vrindaban Sundar ki jai, Gopal Raj Krishna ki jai. Although Kashyap Muni said that, please don't, this is not the right time at twilight. Lord Shiva comes out on his Nandi and he comes with different ghosts and goblins and he's simply waiting for those who have union at the time of Tri Sandhya, meaning the confluence between evening and night. At that time, the demoniac babies are born if one has physical union. So, but she forced him, and unfortunately, the first two born to Diti were Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And as we all know, that due to their atrocities and terror, the entire universe was terrorized. They were terrified that the demigods in the heavenly planets, they left their thrones and they went into hiding. Even Hiranyakashipu simply laughed and raised his eyebrow, Lord Indra and the different demigods would think, now what is going to happen? What's next? And they started shivering. So, these two brothers, they actually wanted to become invisible and they performed a lot of austerities. They tried to appease Lord Brahma, and eventually Lord Brahma appeared and asked Hiranyaksha, what do you want? I want to become invincible. And out of arrogance, he said that, I should not be killed by, any man, any demigod. But he did not mention, a low-born animal like Sukura. Sukura in English means pig. So he left that out of deep arrogance. And Lord Krishna, he came as Lord Varadev. Keshavadrita Varasharira Jai Jagadisha Hare. And eventually killed him. Now, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry when his brother was killed by his enemy who had taken the form of a boar, Vishnu. And he said to avenge his brother's death, he asked Lord Brahma for so many benedictions wherein he covered all his bases, that I should not be killed by any man, any demigod, not be killed by any living being, not be killed by anything dead, not be killed in the day, not be killed at night, not be killed in my palace, not be killed outside my palace, not be killed in water, not be killed in sky. So all these bases he covered, and Brahmaji had to give that benediction. He reluctantly said, "Vastu, so be it." So when this happened, actually, Jai and Vijay, the two gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, they are none other than, in that yuga, appeared as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. They were actually cursed by the four Kumaras to go down to the material world, to Sansar. And they had the option of 7 births, in the heavenly planets, or 3 births as demons. So they chose the latter, because they wanted to come back to their service in Vaikuntha. So they decided to take that option. Now, sometimes they ask this question, and there's a big topic where there are so many different facets or angles, not even a leaf falls from Vaikuntha. So, they say that, nobody wants to go to Vaikuntha, that's a fact. And Srila Prabhupada has given a couple of different angles, but the bottom line is that there is no fall down from Vaikuntha. They came down for the service of the Lord. The Lord wanted to express, they had a desire for Virya Rasa. What is Virya Rasa? Virya means chivalry. And in Vaikuntha, everybody is in what mode or what mellow? Dasyas. So, a servant cannot pick up a sword and fight, or pick up a mace and fight with the master. Right? But the Lord was fully quickly that yes, I have not wrestled in a long time. I have not practiced the art of warfare. So that desire was known to them, and that is the reason this whole pastime of the Kumars coming and cursing. So Rupa Goswami and Naraji say in the Narad Bhakti Sutra that Anya Vilasana Shunya Jnana Karma Navatam Anukulina Krishna Anushilam Tat Bhakti Uttam. Somebody must have asked Naraji, can you define pure bhakti very quickly? You know, what is the essence? So he says, one should, Anya Vilasana Shunya, we should not have any material desires. Same thing what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. Not even for jnana and karma, not even for empirical knowledge, and not even karma. Jnana, karma, anavruta. Then that's the negativity. But what is the positivity? Anukulina Krishna Anushilanam Tat Bhakti Uttam. Whatever is conducive to the Supreme Lord, to Krishna, Jai, Radha, one should perform, accept and perform. Whatever is conducive. So it was conducive to the Lord of Vaikuntha that he wanted to fight. And that is why Jai Vijay came down, and the first incarnation was Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. The second incarnation in Treta Yuga was Ravana and Kumkarna. And the third incarnations of these two brothers, or these two gatekeepers rather, in Krishna Leela, in Dwapar, they came as Shishupal and Dantavakra. So, but when he asked for all these benedictions to cover all his bases, Brahmaji gave it. And then he thought now he's invincible, nobody can do anything to him. And that is the demoniac nature. A lot of demoniac persons also perform austerities. They try to appease different demigods so that they can become even more powerful, so that they can create havoc, and that is purely sense gratification at the highest degree, we can say. And he did that, and like I said earlier, he created havoc throughout the different universes. And Prahlad at that time was in the mother's womb, in his mother Kayadu's womb. And the demigods in the heavenly planets, especially Indra, after consulting with them all, if Hiranyakashipu was such a terrible demon, can you guess? Kayadu is pregnant, Hiranyakashipu's wife. What kind of a demon she's going to give birth to? So what he did is, he kidnapped Hiranyakashipu's wife, Kayadu. And while he was arresting her and taking her to the heavenly planets, at that time Naraji came. And Naraji stopped him and says, Indra, what are you doing? You are a Sura. Sura means somebody who is a devotee. And Asura means opposite. A demon. Sura, Asura. You cannot do that. It's not good. But, my dear Naraji, you can see everything. You know who the child is in her womb? Yeah, he says, I know. He's a great demon. No, he's not a great demon. He's actually a devotee. Prahlad is a devotee. Please, let her go. And don't harm her. Don't behave like this. So eventually, Indra agreed with Naraji. But Kayadu said, if my husband finds out that I was kidnapped by another man, he will certainly slay me. So now you have to give me shelter. So Kayadu was given shelter in Naraji's ashram. And while she was pregnant, every day Naraji spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. He spoke the different transcendental spiritual topics. And Prahlad, the unborn Prahlad, was listening. So that is why in our Vedic culture we have what we call as the Garbhadan Sanskar. When a woman is pregnant, then at that time, the Brahmins, Vaishnavas are called, and they perform some rituals, and so that for the well-being spiritual, the spiritual and the well-being of the unborn, when he's born, will become a devotee. That's the whole idea of Garbhadan sanskar. And these sanskaras are very important, but nowadays hardly anybody does that. That is why a pregnant mother or a woman should always be hearing spiritual topic matters, bhajans, kirtans, always taking prasad, so that it has an effect on that unborn child. Now, when Prahlad was born, at that time, as soon as he grew up, he became a Kumar at the age of 4 or 5. He was admitted to school. What kind of school? A demon school. And in the demon school, what do they teach? Politics. They teach warfare. They teach terrorism. They're like, and that's how right from that childhood. But Prahlad being a devotee. Now, how did he become a devotee? That's an interesting topic. That Lord Narashima himself mentions this. Prahlad actually asked Lord Narashima that how is it that I have got the benediction that you touched me and you even sat me on your lap and you caressed me? What is it? How did that happen? So then Lord Narashima says that in there is a Quran where it is mentioned that in your past life you are Soma Sharma, one Brahmin born with the name Soma Sharma, and you were did not have Brahminical qualities, although born to a Brahmin father. You actually had bad association. You were consuming alcohol, you were associating with prostitutes, and that's what you did, and therefore you never cultivated the Brahminical qualities of the Vedic culture. But one day, it so happened that you fought with this prostitute, and you fought so badly that you all continued fighting, and you forgot to eat your meal, and that happened to be one of my special days of fasting. Now, if you remember, there's many types of Lord Narashima days. Just not one. In different millenniums, there are many different types of Narashima days. So one can ask that, how is it that those pastimes, that even he became a devotee even without, it has not happened yet, and it yet happens. So that is the Achintya Veda Tattva. So, just like Krishna comes in once in 10,000 Dwapar Yugas, Mahaprabhu comes in once in 10,000 Kali Yugas. It's a clockwork. So then they come. So there is an unending cycle. So, knowingly or actually unknowingly, he fasted because he skipped his meals due to the fight with the prostitute. And that is the reason he became. So can you imagine those of us who are fasting today, knowingly what kind of devotional fruits we will reap? If Prahlad, as Som Sharma, a very sinful person, associating with prostitutes, doing all the wrong things, he became Prahlad, the best amongst the devotees. So what to talk about those? So it is very important. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his bhajan, we call it the Ekadashi bhajan. Shuddha bhakata charanarenu bhajane anu kula bhakata seva parama siddhi premalati karamula madhavati thi bhakati janani jatane palan kori. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Madhavati thi bhakti janani jatane pavana kori. Madhavati means what? Ekadashi. The appearances of the Supreme Lordships. That is Madhavati. Like Narashima Chaturdashi, Ram Navami, the last major festival, Gaur Purnima prior to that, Janmashtami. So these are all Madhavati. So when we perform austerities, but with a lot of joy, Prati divasya parama sukhe. At the end, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in that bhajan, every day with great joy I will perform these austerities and I will for the pleasure of Krishna. So, when Prahlad was sent to school and he was asked, in his lunch breaks, he would preach. What would he preach? Devotional service. He would preach like Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Bhana Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakyam Atma Nivedana. So many other instructions, but this is one of the outstanding ones, what is called as Navada Bhakti, the 9th process of devotional service. He would tell his demoniac friends, Shravanam, please listen about Krishna. Kirtanam, please glorify Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's Kirtan. That's glorification. When somebody gives a class, Katha, shares Krishna consciousness, that is also Kirtan. Vishnu. Vishnu means Krishna, or different forms of Krishna. But by the way, as a side note, for us, Vishnu is Krishna of Vrindaban. It's a matter of consciousness. Like for example, when we refrain in the morning, Vrindaya Tulsi Devaya, Priyaya Keshava Sacha, Vishnu Bhakti Pratidevi Satyavataya Namo Namah. Now, it appears that we are asking for Vishnu Bhakti in Vaikuntha. No, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, that's not our domain. Our domain is Raj. So what is this Vishnu? So that has been explained by Sanatana Goswami, especially in his commentary on the Damodar Ashtakam in the Digdarshani, a part of Hari Bhakti Vilas. Because previously Satyavrat Muni was offered a liberation. So he says, no, I don't want that. Varam deva moksham na moksham abdimva na cha vrinayaham vara ishat apiha idam deva purnatham gopala padam sada me manasi avirashtam kimanye. If you are trying to give me benedictions, liberation, no, I don't want it. And if you're trying to give me liberation in Vaikuntha, I pray to you, Vrine, the same word is being used. Vrine by Prahlad Maharaj, I pray. Satyavrat Muni says, I do not want that either. So, it's a subtle conversation between Satyavrat Muni and Krishna. So Krishna finally gives up and says, okay, what do you want? So he says, okay, now you're talking. Now you're saying, so he says, give me that vision within my heart, within the core of my heart. Krishna in Gokul. Idam te vapurnatham gopala balam, the childhood pastimes of Krishna. So he has already rejected liberation. He has rejected liberation in Vaikuntha. So why is it the word in the 6th verse, Namo Deva Damodara Ananta Vishnu, that immediately it comes to our minds, why the word Vishnu? He has already given up Vaikuntha. Where is Vishnu? Vishnu is in Vaikuntha. So here Sanatana Goswami explains, what does the word Vishnu mean? Vishnu means all pervading. Vishnu means simultaneously present everywhere. And that is the son of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, simultaneously present on the banks of the Jamuna, simultaneously present performing pastimes in Govardhan, Radhakund, and all the different places in Raj. And therefore, Satyavrat Muni has already transcended beyond Vaikuntha, praying for Bhakti of Golok, of Vraj Bhakti. And that is why the word Vishnu. So those who even chant Vrindavan consider us Gaudiya Vaishnavas, that Vishnu means that Vishnu of the all-pervading, give me pure Bhakti of Vraj. That all-pervading Krishna was present simultaneously everywhere in Vraj. Give me his Bhakti. That is our consciousness when we say those words. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, we remember. If we do proper Shravanam, the first amongst the nine processes of devotional service, if we hear. Hearing is the process. Even when a child, when after a few, infant, slowly growing up, hears from the parents that say mama, say papa, and from hearing they learn. Say 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, and that's how they learn. Similarly, spiritual subject matters have to be heard. And when we hear, we practice hearing by kirtan, by glorifying. And then, when we do these two, Shravanam and Kirtanam, Smaranam becomes very easy, remembrance. No matter where we are, we might be in New York or Chicago or Bombay or Delhi, we close our eyes and as we are chanting, we can remember Vrindaban, Smaranam. We can remember the wonderful pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because we have heard from the right sources, and especially what better right source than is Divine Krishna. Archanam, worshipping Krishna. Vandanam, offering obeisances. Dasyam, as a servant. Sakyam, one can even become a friend of Krishna. And Atmanivedan. Atmanivedan means completely surrendering yourself. Now the surrender, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said, that we can surrender so many things. Devotees surrender, they're not attracted to wealth. True, some of them are very austere and very spiritual. They're not attracted to the opposite sex. That's also true. And they have surrendered everything to Krishna. But the limit of surrender, or the crescendo of the zenith of surrender is, we all have minute independence. Anuswatantrata. When we come to the point of even surrendering our minute independence at the lotus feet of Krishna, then we are completely surrendered. And that is the actual deep meaning of the word Atmanimedana. It's so subtle but extremely difficult to give up our mind. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said in the section of Sharanagati in the Bhajana on Atmanidana, he says that Manasa Deha Geha Jo Kichu Hora Arpino Tu Apade Nanda Kishora. In that he says, Daimama Gera Tua Pado Varane. Now I have no independence left. Even the little minute independence that I have, I've already given it to you. So now I don't even have that. So you make decisions and take me wherever you want in the journey of my life. That is the zenith. And that's what our Gaudiya Acharyas are famous for. They're expounding in the different meanings of the words, and the consciousness that they are is incomparable. So, as we got the news, Hiranyakashipu, that his son is not really learning the art of becoming a demon, he beckoned him. First he beckoned his teachers. What are their names? Samarka and? Shandaka and Amarka. Then, hey, what are you guys doing? You're not doing a good job. You make sure that he becomes a demon. And if he doesn't become a demon, then I'm going to cut your throats. So you make sure. But that did not happen. So eventually, he was so upset, the rock. This is what demoniac persons, because sense gratification is such a thing that when it crosses a certain line, it doesn't see who the other person is at the other end. Whether it's your own son or your wife or your father or mother or devotee, blasphemy, and simply wanting to kind of, push them to the point where they will surrender to their sense gratification. But Prahlad did not surrender. And he asked Prahlad, where did you get all this from? All this energy and from all this wisdom from? He says, I got it from exactly where you got it from. So from the same place. So yes, Krishna is my source, Vishnu is my source. So he said, okay, fine. You are glorifying my enemy right in my palace, in my kingdom. I will sentence you to death. So he told his different types of torture were were applied on him. His soldiers tried to put him under a very mad elephant, tried to crush him, but the elephant's leg felt like a pillow, a soft pillow. Tried to push him off a huge peak, and he came out unscathed. They pushed him in a dark well full of venomous snakes, and he came out perfectly well. Finally, he asked his sister Holika. She had a benediction that she will never, if she enters fire, she will not burn. And that is why we have a bonfire on the day of Holi, which is the same day as God Purnima. Most of the people of Sanatana Dharma are Hindus. That depicts the remembrance of victory of Prahlad. So Holika took Prahlad in her lap and says, "Come, my Prahlad," the auntie. And she entered into the huge bonfire, and that benediction failed, and she became ashes, and Prahlad came out perfect, chanting the holy names of the Lord while he was being tortured. So then finally, Hiranyakashipu said, "Okay, well, you think I am not capable? I will personally kill you." And he said, "Let me see your Vishnu. Is he going to save you? Where is he? Is he here? Ito Nashinga, Parato Nashinga, Yato Yami Tato Nashinga, Bahir Nashinga, Hridaye Nashinga, Narashima Sharanam Prapade." Yes, he's everywhere. Oh yeah? Is he in this pillar? Yes, he's in this pillar. He took his fist and he smashed that pillar. There was a tremendous sound in the firmament. All the demigods were scared. They all scattered. Even the different elephants and the powerful animals that were there, they passed urine and stool just hearing that sound. It was so ferocious. And out came out Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakam Adhuta Shringam Dadita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Vringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare. Out came out an unusual form that was never happened. Half man, half lion, ferocious, with a flying mane, gold red eyes, so much anger, Ugra Narashima appeared. And he appeared at right around noon. He appeared at noon. And Hiranyakashipu was dumbstruck. What on earth is this? Half man, half lion? And he was just wondering, what is this? And then he picked up his mace and started beating Lord Narashima. Or Lord Narashima felt like as if there were feathers on his arms, on his body. And then Lord Narashima gave him a good fight. That's what he wanted. That was the reason why he left Vaikuntha. Jai Vijay left so that he could express his Virya Rasa, the Rasa of chivalry. And he fought and fought and fought. He could have appeared right in twilight, but he did not. He fought a good 6 hours. Yeah, he appeared in the pillar from the pillar around noon. And then he fought and fought and fought and fought, and just when it was twilight, the confluence between day and night, he took him sparring at the entrance of the palace, the threshold. And as soon as it was twilight, time to stop that Tom and Jerry game. 9:30 today. Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhu has authorized it. Thank you. But yes, anybody's hungry, they can always go for their breakfast. So the Tom and Jerry game ended. He immediately picked him up, put him on his lap, and simply killed him with his nails. Not inside the palace, not outside the palace, not in water, not in sky, not by any animal, not by any demigod. There was a special form that was created just for his devotee Prahlad. Not killed by anything living or dead. Nails. He could have killed him with a sword or with his mace, but no, because that is considered a weapon. And one of his devotees is Lord Brahma. He had given a benediction, so he has to keep Lord Brahma's word. So nails and hair, these two are considered neither living or dead. And he took and Nakam means nails. And did like a little fruit fly. When we see sometimes a very ripe banana or a mango, there are so many fruit flies. They said, you try to remove them, they die. Just by the touch. Similarly, he was killed. So Krishna, he tried, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakashipu thought that they would be protected with their benediction of Lord Brahma, and they tried to cheat. But Krishna is the biggest cheater. Actually, have you heard of this famous Vaishnava, Bilwamgal Thakur? How many of you heard of him? Nice. He has composed a Chorastakam. 8 verses glorifying Krishna as the foremost thief. The first verse goes as follows. Vraje prasiddha navanita choram. What is the next? Vraje prasiddha navanita choram. Anybody remembers? So anyways, the refrain is that Krishna, you are the foremost thief in Braj. There's nobody as number one in all respects, including stealing or including cheating. So he cheated Hiranyakashipu by this form of, especially Hiranyakashipu in the form of Narashima Bhagavan. So there's one more verse that particularly I like so much, which I will simply read from Srimad Bhagavatam, is Evam janam nipatitam prabhavi kupe kamavi akam anu uda pranatam sangat kritva masata surasino bhagavani grita so aham katam nu visrije tava vritya seva. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of God, and because of my association with material desires, Prahlad Maharaj says, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well, full of snakes following the general populace, following the general population. But your servant, Narad Muni, kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? So in Nrsimha, Bhagavan was so pleased. After killing Hiranyakashipu, he was still so angry, and that is why that zenith of anger is known as Ugra. So this Nrsimha Bhagavan is known as Ugra Nrsimha, very angry. Then there is other types of Nrsimha also. So even Lord Brahma and the demigods and Lord Shiva, they were thinking, how can we pacify him? So they said, okay, you are his wife, Lakshmi Devi, why don't you go and pacify him? She said, no, I have never seen such a form of my husband, such a mood. I can't do that. I'm really sorry. So then Lord Brahma said, Prahlad, why don't you go forward? So Prahlad goes with a garland. We see that famous picture. And at the moment he goes there, you see, Lord Narashima Deva sees Prahlad. He becomes very, very pacified. He puts him on his lap, kisses his forehead, and he is, at that time, one greed arised in the Supreme Lord. Until Lord Narashima Deva, there were no parents. So, even Lord Narashima Deva, the parents are who? The pillar. But thereafter, when Prahlad Sahib was left, that vatsalya, that parental love, emanated in Lord Narashima's heart. And I wish I could relish that. So after Narashimadev, all the other incarnations of the Lord had mother and father. Because he wanted to relish Vatsalya Rasa, the parenthood, love of the parents. So after pacifying him, so he prayed. And then he, God said, ask me. So he asked about his father's liberation. It's already done. And he says, in the previous verse that was displayed today, no material desires in the core of my heart. If you want to give me that, give me that. And then he praised this wonderful verse also. Because of my association with material desires, I gradually fell into this deep well full of snakes. And my spiritual master, Naraji. Because remember, Naraji initiated Prahlad in the womb of his mother Kayadu. Naraji is such a wonderful and amazing personality. And he has initiated so many amazing devotees. Valmiki, the composer of Ramayana. Prahlad, Dhruv, who else? Vyasdev, the compiler of the Vedas. So he is an amazing spiritual master, and we are fortunate that he is number 2 in our Brahma Madhurya Sampradaya. Right? Lord Brahma gave this transcendental knowledge to Naraji to Vyasdev, and it came down in succession. 32nd in line is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. So, he says, therefore my first duty is to serve it. Lord Narashimadev said, I will give you your father's kingdom. You rule, and then you come back to Vaikuntha. He says, no, I don't want Vaikuntha. My spiritual master is so kind that he saved me. And he's saving so many souls, giving Krishna consciousness, preaching Krishna consciousness. It is my goal to serve him. And that is the prayers that, my dear devotees, that should be our prayers. Our highest prayer should be, birth after birth after birth, we should serve His Divine Grace. Going back to Godhead is not so important. Although Prabhupada in the beginning days, he said, it is like a child being told by the parents, oh, you do your homework nicely and then, I'll give you an ice cream. So back to Godhead is more or less, it's a good thing to go back. But no matter where we are, serving, Swargeshu, Narakeshu, Apavargeshu, Samatulya, Darshana, for a pure Vaishnava, whether one is in heaven or in hell, or in Apavarga, or even in Vaikuntha, Samatulya Darshana, the Vaishnava looks upon it equally. Srila Prabhupada was told by Radharani, by Krishna, you have to go to the material world. He didn't argue, oh, I have to leave you, your physical presence, and go. It's so wonderful, it's so comfortable here. No! Go to Boston, go to New York. Go amongst the hippies and the drunks and the drug addicts. I will certainly do so. Anukulena Krishna Anushilana Tad Bhakti Uttam. Whatever is abusive to Krishna, whatever Krishna wishes. That is why he is Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale. He is Preshta, he is so dear, and he came Bhutale means he came from Bhutale. See, Prabhupada's Pranamudra is packed with so many transcendental qualities. It's amazing. There's so much rasa. And who composed Prabhupada's Pranamudra? Prabhupada himself. Yes. Prabhupada himself. Now that seemed a little bit out of whack. But why would somebody glorify himself? But in the beginning, the people of New York or San Francisco, the Americans, the Westerners, they didn't even know how to bow down. Or they didn't even know how to respect the spiritual master. Everything Prabhupada had to spell out. Okay? One incident in 22nd Avenue, I think. Greg, Bruce's brother, and Prabhupada was giving the class Jai Radha Madhav, and then he called out the Jai Dhvani, and he had already taught everybody should bow down. When he calls out Jai Vishnupat, Paramahansa Parivajagacharya, Shloka Shloka Shri Srimad, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, Prabhupada Ki Jai, etc. So Greg, he would stand up. He would not bow down. So Prabhupada said, yes, what's your problem? Why aren't you bowing down? Prabhupada, I just don't feel like bowing down. No, you must bow down. He said. And Prabhupada, somewhere he said that when you bow down, you kind of, give up your ego, false ego, in installments. The more we bow down, we give up our false ego. So many things that may appear out of whack that Prabhupada is glorifying himself, but there was a reason why he did what he did. And he's none other than in the spiritual world so dear to Radha and Krishna in their most intimate pastimes. So he came here, and that is the reason, personally, I always pray that, Krishna, it is not my goal to go back to God. And wherever you keep me, just keep me in Prabhupada's service. And that I consider as a prayer that analogs to what Prahlad is praying here, that now that he kindly accepted me as a disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. So Srila Prabhupada taught us how to achieve, if we follow his instructions, a transcendental position. So how can we achieve this? How can we lead? So just as a side note, some devotees of ISKCON have left and gone to the Gaudiya Math and other places. You don't do that. Prabhupada gave us the ABCs. He called up a finger and taught us so many things, and then just because somebody else says that we'll give you something better, first of all, they can't give you anything better. I guarantee you that. Prabhupada has given us everything. The Gaudiya Math, sometimes there's some certain puffed up devotees, they say that, oh, you're Swami Maharaj. Prabhupada's sannyas name was Swami Maharaj. Yes. And you notice this, just like we have different names, Vashana Swami. Prabhupada's name was Swami Maharaj, Radhanath Swami, etc. Swami Maharaj. Prabhupada is an exalted title, like Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, Sanatana Goswami Prabhupada, Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, etc. So ours, Bhakti Siddhanta Sri Prabhupada. So when devotees started realizing that how exalted this Swamiji from India is, they said, can we call you Prabhupada? And at that time, Prabhupada was in tears, thinking that how can I take the place of my Guru Maharaj, or such an exalted position of the Goswamis? When that proposal came, and then Prabhupada very, very humbly said, okay. He accepted that, just so that he could glorify his spiritual master and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is our primary duty, is to serve Srila Prabhupada, God of the earth. That would please Radharani the most. That would please. So Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada also said, don't try to look for Krishna. Perform your service in such a way that Krishna, when he desires, he will call you. So it is not. So of course, when we are dedicated to Srila Prabhupada, naturally Srila Prabhupada will recommend us, and we will enter into the eternal pastimes. But again, we may have our bags and come back here and assist Srila Prabhupada in his service of preaching, saving souls. That is the primary seva. That is the highest seva. That is Nikunjayo Ratigeli Siddhya Yaya Yukti Rapekshniya Tatra Atidaksha Tativaldavasya Vande Guru Sri Chaturdashi. Nikunja seva means the most confidential service in Vrindaban of Radha and Krishna. But this is also serving Srila Prabhupada with this confidential service that bestowed upon him by Radha Krishna. That also is Nikunja seva. Book distribution is Nikunja seva. Most confidential pastimes. As good as that. So that is what Prahlad Maharaj is praying, that my first duty is to serve him. That should be our seva. So, the word Prahlad, what does it mean? Anybody?
The one who gives joy.
Very nice. Not that's apart, pretty much. But Prahlad means Prakrishta Rupena Allah iti Prahlad. So it's a combination of some Sanskrit words. Prakrishta means extremely. Rupena means one who is endowed with extreme. Allah means joy. So one who is always extremely happy. So a devotee who is a pure devotee is always happy. The only time he is in distress or unhappy is looking at the others out of compassion. Then at that time is that devotee's heart cries for their deliverance and for saving them. Otherwise they are fully realized. They know they're not this body, they're spirit soul, they're eternal servants of Hare Krishna. So for them it's just joy, nothing but joy. 24/7. This Narashima prayers that we sing was actually sung by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself in Jagannath Puri. Namaste Narashingaya Praladiladainaine. These prayers. And why did Lord Narashima, as a matter of fact, many different avatars come? Simply to glorify the devotees. That Yadayadai Dharmasya Gnani Bhavati Bharata Abhitanam Dharmasyas. That is just something very byproduct of Krishna coming or his incarnations coming. When there is irreligiosity to kill the miscreants. But what is the main reason? Paritaranam sadhuna. Vinashayati dushkrita. Dharma sanstapakaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To give joy and protect the sadhus, the Vaishnavas. So there is no other incarnation like Lord Narashima, especially for Prahlad. Now one last point before I wind up. Our Gaudiya Vaishnava mood is that of Raj. And Lord Narashima is from Vaikuntha. So why are we incorporating his prayers and singing every day to Lord Narashima? Now of course, the first and quick answer is to protect our devotion. Agreed. But what about the pure devotees who are praying to Lord Narashima? What about Mother Yashoda? She prayed to Lord Narashima. Oh my Narashima, please protect my Krishna. So many demons have come and they are trying to kill him. And that is the mood of Rajvasi. That even if we try to imitate, that's okay. Although we don't have that 100% that Braj Bhav, we can always pray to Lord Narashima. My Krishna is very naughty, protect him when he goes out in cow herding. Maybe Devasur will come, or Vyavasur will come, or Agasur will come. So Mother Yashoda used to actually pray. When she actually, it is said in the commentary of Jiva Goswami, when she is churning the butter rod, and she's singing the glories of Krishna, when he's only 2.5 years. Yeah, you're only 6 days in Putna again, but by the mercy of Parmeshwar, you were saved. And then Trinavat came. The God demon. What's the name? Shakshasur. And you were saved by the mercy of Narashima. That's how she prayed. Because in Vrindaban or in Raj, they do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. They're always praying to Vishnu or Narayana. That is their wish today. The Brajvasis, they pray. But their prayers are for the well-being of Krishna. And that is why Narsimha is an integral part of the pure, even the Brajvasis pray. Not only for one's own protection, because that does take a tinge of sense gratification. Oh Lord, protect me. We don't need to pray for that. He knows He's most closest within our heart. If one is taken to devotional service, we don't have to pray for, give me some money or give me this and give me that. He knows that. He's the closest. Sometimes we say that, this is my best friend, the closest. Or that my wife is the closest to the Lord. The closest is Paramatma, the Supreme Lord who resides within our heart. He's the closest and He knows everything. Therefore, never ask for anything material. He will indeed protect us. But, ask Krishna, please protect my Krishna. is the mood of the Brajvasis. And that is it. In Govardhan, I don't know if you all have in Parikrama, it is inside, very close to, after you cross Govind Kund, you come to a place on the inner side, a 5,000-year-old deity of Lord Narashima. Anybody taking darshan there? It's amazing, Ugra Narashima. Next time you go, ask somebody near Govind Kund, where is Prachin Narasimhadev temple? Prachin means the ancient. And it is said that those deities of that deity of Lord Narashima was established by the grandson of Krishna, Vajranath. Even Srinathji, Gopalnathji, was originally established by Vajranath, Krishna's grandson. And then it came down and manifested in Govardhan to Srila Madhava Puri, the Guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Grand Guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gurudev, Sripad Ishwarpuri, and Sripad Puri's Gurudev, Madhava Puri. So, these are some of the amazing things. Now, one last thing before I wind up, just one thing that came to my mind. The pure devotion of Raj or Gaudiya Vaishnavism even goes beyond the devotion that has been expressed by the devotees of Vaikuntha. Therefore, Satyavrata Muni has very carefully said this when he says that I do not want any liberation, I do not want liberation in Vaikuntha. And then he uses the word Nacha Anye Vrine Aham. I pray to you and I request you, I don't need anything other than. So Sanatana Goswami translates that word Anya means I don't even want the bhakti of Vaikuntha, of Dhruva and Prahlad. This is amazing. It came from Sanatana Goswami. I'm repeating it as it is. Yes, we can use that platform to solidify our sadhana bhakti. But there will come a time where we have to go beyond sadhana bhakti and into Raganuga bhakti. And yes, we take the assistance of everyone and anyone who can help us with our sadhana bhakti. Like the ideal Prahlad Maharaj or Hanumanji, etc. But that is not our platform eventually, or like Gokul. We have gone through so many different places, including different areas of Vaikuntha, and eventually when he reached Golo, he was satisfied. And Krishna greeted him with open arms. I've been waiting for you. Where are you? So, thank you all very much. Narashima Bhagwan ki jai. Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. So we still have about 5 minutes. If anybody has any questions, or one question, 2 questions, or comments, corrections. So many Srila Prabhupada disciples are present. I seek your blessings there, and I hope I have not made any mistakes, and if I have, please correct me. Yes, Guruji.
Thank you so much for the wonderful katha. Srila Prabhupada firstly taught the devotees in 1970 the Sringadev mantra, the prayer we sing every day. Prabhupada personally taught them because he was leaving for Japan and India, so the devotees in Los Angeles, and he taught the whole movement that prayer. And later on, when Prabhupada was ill, the devotees also. So I was just thinking that, so to pray, Lord Sridhar, to protect our spiritual lives, Prabhupada taught that. Also, he taught that when Prabhupada was ill, he told the devotees to chant the Sridhar prayer. So chanting for the protection of the spiritual master, and he also said chanting the Sridhar prayers for the protection of the movement, or Chaitanya's movement, to be protected from so many
aggression or whatever.
Yeah, so many adversaries. Different moods to chant for Lord Sridhar's mercy upon us. And in the mood of Prahlad Maharaj, what was his mood? That's my question. What was his mood when he was praying to Lord Sridhar?
Sorry, what's the question?
This is like one of the moods, right? This prayer is one of the moods that, my Lord, I'm not praying for anything selfish. I'm praying that I become pure and able with your desires. So the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj were before Prabhupada printed had the Bhagavatam, 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which occurred about the time of Prabhupada's last visit to New Vrindaban, around 1976. But before that, there was a small movement. Remember that one? There was a small movement. It's called Prayers of Palavrana, very like a pamphlet, way back in the beginning of the movement. So, although our mood is bhakti, whatever, probably gave us Krishna book, but Lord Chaitanya, as explained in Chaitanya Bhagavad, Lord Chaitanya would, in his readings of Srimad Bhagavatam with Gadadhar Pandit, he would ask that the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, the chapters of Prahlad Maharaj be read hundreds of times. He went over to Gadadhar, so he wasn't asking always to hear the Rasa Katha. He was asking to hear this wonderful story of Prahlad Maharaj. It was so inspiring, and it's explained in the Chaitanya Bhagavad that Lord Chaitanya was feeling ecstasy in hearing this. So these are some thoughts.
Okay, so what's the so yes, there's nothing wrong. It is not different. Sakshat Dhariktina Samasta Shastre Uktas Tatha Bhavitaya Vasati Kinko Prabhu Yapriya Vatasya Vande Guru Shri Chaturdashi. So the spiritual master is ill, and if you pray to Narashima Bhagavan, it's perfect. Just like Mother Yashoda asking for the protection of her baby Krishna from Narashima Bhagavan. So again, what I was trying to bring home is that there are two different platforms, Sadhana Bhakti and Ragana Bhakti. So in Sadhana Bhakti, of course, we pray to Narashima Bhagavan for help, for devotion, protecting our devotion, etc. But once the devotee has crossed that barrier of Sadhana Bhakti, then in Ragana Bhakti or Bhakti of Raj, at that time also they remember Narashima Bhagavan. That was my point. For the protection of Krishna.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Just one quick question, right? Thank you very much, first of all, for the wonderful you said Viryaras.
Viryaras, yes.
So my knowledge says it's Viraras, not Viryaras. So
okay, maybe I made a mistake in the pronunciation. Virya means semen. That's another word.
Semen is the essence of the Purushatva. Virya can be like in the battlefield, the power exhibited by a Vira is also Virya. The
It's
semen
a
is also
Sanskrit
Virya.
word, Virya. Prabhupada has used that word. And in Hindi it is Vir.
No, Sanskrit also is a Vir. It's a
Okay.
Viraras, not a
I'll
Virya.
have to check
Yeah.
Prabhupada's.
Because the meaning completely changes
Okay.
with that word.
Okay, so thanks for the correction, Prabhuji. Thank you.
They are even-
But you have understood the essence of what was
Yeah,
said.
that's
the most important thing.
We have understood all the whole.
In many scriptures, both the words are used interchangeably. They are synonymous with each other. And Virya even relate to masculine power, but feminine power is also there, right? But they don't have Virya. So the end result and end thought is the same, They are used interchangeably to some extent.
And may I make one request, Prabhuji?